Hey, it's your girl Jazz. I'm here at Kathleen's house. I have kind of just been really sick today, which is weird. I spent the night at my cousin's house last night. And I woke up and I had like a really bad pink eye situation going on. And I don't know if you can see the swollenness, or, well, it's not so swollen anymore, but it's definitely like red and crazy. But yeah, so Kathleen is like such a wonderful, gracious person, and she just, let me lay down and relax and gave me like these eye drops. They're homeopathic eye drops. Oh, my nails are horrible. I look horrible. But I'm like, oh, I hate how I feel and how I look today, and it's just not cute. And I'm like so annoyed because I don't know. I came here to work and then I like fell asleep, and I just kind of have been really out of it today, and it really kind of sucks. And there was like some other things I wanted to do tonight, but I'm not gonna be able to do those, which kind of sucks. But yeah, so I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that. But I saw this video on YouTube about being passable. And I want to talk about that because it is a very sensitive subject, as one person said. And it's something that is like everywhere. Like, I mean, among trans people and even non-trans people who like trans people, it's like that's like a big issue for like a lot of guys that I have encountered in the past anyway, and maybe even possibly will continue to encounter in the future. But it's like there isn't it's stupid. I think it's just totally stupid, especially nowadays. And it's like totally counterproductive to the cause of, our acceptance and everything. I mean, if people don't know that trans people exist, or if everyone is passable, they'll have this one idea that, we either don't exist or we're not as numerous as we are, or, you know, things like that. And I don't know. I feel like, why would anyone conscious anyway? I mean, because there are people who are not, aware of what they're really saying. But, it's like, I want people to know that I'm trans, because I am. And I'm not a biological female. And I'm me. I'm Jasmine. I am a trans woman. I am a black trans woman. I am who I am. And if you can accept that, then you can accept that. Yeah, I'm 6'3". Sometimes people can tell that I'm trans. Sometimes people can't. You know what I mean? And I'm indifferent either way. Like, I'm still living my life. You know what I mean? Like, whether people can tell or they can't. You know what I mean? And then it's like, yeah, you'll get those, she's a man in the street, or, things like that. But so what? Yeah, I was born male. I'm not a man anymore, nor do I think I ever really was a man. I mean, I never got to the point where I considered myself a man or lived in manhood. Although I might have been considered by some to be such, but I feel like I was a boy, for most of my life. Obviously, I started transitioning when I was 23, which for some that can be considered a man. After 21, you're an adult and all that kind of stuff. So maybe, yeah, but I don't know. It's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, everyone would be better off if people knew who we were. And not everyone is passable. And then it's like, what is the criteria for being passable or acceptable or whatever? It's like, not all regular women are beautiful. There are some, bio women who are just straight up fugly. And the same goes for trans people. You know what I mean? So just because you're passable doesn't mean you're ugly. I mean, it doesn't mean you're beautiful either. I don't know. But, you know, I don't know. It's like so complex. It really is. And it's like whoever invented that term is just so ridiculous. Like passing. I mean, and it extends back. You know what I think of when people say passing? I think of the, mulatto people and, things of that nature, from like the 60s and like slave times, like high yellow and light skin and, people who are, biracial and, could pass for being white. And then, even to me, that was like, learning about that in like college and high school and whatnot and from my family was like something that I was like, well, why would someone, deny their heritage or deny where they came from? Like, you should be proud to be black. I mean, I understand, back in those days, it might have been necessary to really make it anywhere. And then a lot of people who passed, then would help those who didn't. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how it should be with the trans community, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people who are passable and can, get a day job and, all that kind of stuff, don't, turn around and help other trans people. If anything, they shun other trans people and they try to pretend that they're not even a part of the community. And I mean, that could be a little bit of my own resentment. I don't know. And then my cousin and I were talking about it, and, like she's always like, I'd be like, oh, I look like a brick today. And she'd be like, well, what do you mean you look like a brick? And people would try to be all nice to me and tell me that I'm like passable and whatnot and, all that stuff. I'm like, I don't think I'm passable. I don't. Nor do I want to be. I mean, and then we came to this conclusion that it's like, yeah, all right, I'm not passable, but somehow I'm like acceptable for society or whatever. Like, for most people, for some people, like, if people see me, they'll be like, and I'll get this too, which is also kind of annoying at the same time, which is how I can understand why some people would prefer to be passable because there's definitely less that you have to deal with, i.e., people in the street feeling as though they can either congratulate you or, give you your props for being trans. Like, you did a good job. Like, what is that supposed to mean? I did a good job. Like, it's just genetics. It's like what it is. Like, not everybody's going to be pretty. Not everybody's going to be beautiful. I know what clothes I like to wear and I have a fashion sense. Big whoop. Some people don't and some people are still learning. And what people don't understand is that, like, someone else, someone on there said it's a transition. So there's like a learning curve. You're becoming another person, for crying out loud. And it's like, you're not going to know what suits you and what suits your body and what is appropriate and all that kind of stuff. Hence the whole stereotype of trans people being like these oversexed women or trans women being like oversexed and like, these crazy like, oh, it's because one, they're trying to overcompensate for, most of their lives being missed and living as something else. So, and with the images that society, beats into our minds, into everyone's mind, about women in general, we think that, we're supposed to be these voluptuous bombshells that are like, super hot and like, if I'm going to be a woman, I want to be a hot one. Like, I've heard that like a million times. Or if I'm going to be a woman, I'm going to be the best woman I can be. But what does that mean, the best woman you can be? You know what I mean? For a lot of these trans women out there, it means that they are, super sexy, and that's it. Like, okay, so every man on the street will want you. Big whoop. That's just kind of how it is anyway, as a woman. You know what I mean? And that's something that a lot of us have to learn too, or deal with. Like, I remember the first time I got a compliment walking down the street from a guy, and he's like, "Excuse me, miss, but you are just so beautiful." And, stuff like that. And I'm like, "Oh, wow." And it really went to my head. But then in retrospect, you think about it, like, guys do that to like every woman, any woman, any young woman. No, if you're not like an old woman, or if you're not like whatever, there will be a guy who will hit on you. Like, that's just a fact. And the fact that they even have the privilege to even just be like, "I'm gonna come hit on you," is like ridiculous. And then what's even more ridiculous is, to me, it's a scary thing, because sometimes, they won't notice that I'm trans, but then, in the somewhere between giving me the compliment and like chasing me for like a block and a half, they might realize that I'm trans and freak the fuck out. And literally, that shit is scary. And that's where I can see one thing like being passable or whatever. But I can't just go up to someone and be like, "You are so handsome." Although I do sometimes, you know what I mean? I got my little extroverted part of me, which is another stereotype that not all trans people are extroverts. I actually just happen to be one on occasion. But I tell you one thing, becoming trans has actually made me more of an introvert and more self-conscious about interacting with people. The only time that I'm really extroverted, like how I used to be when I was younger, is when I'm drunk or something. So, that's that. I'm just being real. I'm being so honest and so real right now. And it's just crazy. And then, I don't know. So everyone, and then even like as a compliment, when people try to make that a compliment, "Oh, you look so passable." I would not even be able to tell. Oh my gosh. Like, all right, thanks, I guess. It's like a backhanded compliment, because what do you mean you would not even be able to tell? Yet you're, approaching me and giving me this compliment, supposedly, that, oh my gosh, I pass, but somehow you knew. And then somehow, I'm supposed to be like, "Oh wow, she almost didn't know that I was trans." I'm happy that you knew I was trans. You should just fucking just be like, "Hey, thumbs up, you're trans, hooray for you." Or don't, or why do you have to give me a compliment? Do people go around complimenting gay people? "Oh, you're gay, good job." You know what I mean? Like, "Wow, you're gay. Wow, you're a tranny, good job." And the only reason it's like, wow, is because people don't see it all the time, or people don't know, or it's not like in people's face, you know what I mean? It's not like something that's common, to see or whatever. I don't know. It's like so complex. It's like, you can give me a compliment on my tattoo if you see a tattoo, or like, "I like your tattoo." But I mean, how do you compliment someone on who they are, or make a comment about who they are in the first place? I don't know. That's like, I don't go up to women and just be like, "Hey, like, you're a girl, thumbs up," or whatever. Like, it's so, I don't know. It's like, you can't even really put it into words. Like, I would have to sit down and like do research and write a paper about this, which is probably what I will eventually do. And I'm sure I've done it before, studying gender studies and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. Everything is like totally different now. Like, the older I become, the more I realize things and have a more of an understanding about that, which is kind of why I'm excited to be going back to school. Because with all the knowledge that I've gained living an actual life and not just like going directly from high school to college, which is what I did. I went directly from high school into college. And then, I'm reading all these things about life and, you know, things that are happening. And I didn't even have like a true understanding of it. And now I think I have more of an understanding of certain things. I mean, granted, I probably wouldn't have even been able to realize what I'm experiencing for what it is if I hadn't gone to college initially. But I think it was good for me to actually take a break and now return. And I'm excited to see what my experiences will bring to my educational experience. So that's something. But I'm also pretty nervous about being the only, most likely, the only trans person on campus. Probably, definitely the only person of color who is trans on campus. The only 26-year-old person of color who is trans on campus. So, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. But, yeah, I guess that's it. I am signing out.